All right. We should be live in theory.
In theory.
In theory, we're live. It says we're live. I can only trust, that StreamYard knows what it's saying, and it claims that we're live, and I'm going to choose to believe it until the chat says otherwise. So welcome to Cask Strength number, what is it, 33?
33.
33. I'm Brad, joined by Dan Hayes, as usual. Vito is still in the ether somewhere. I don't know. He's busy with different priorities for some reason. I don't know what's going on. But he'll be back at some point, probably, unless he gets fired. But, he'll probably be back.
It's hard. It's really hard to get fired around here unless you're
Very
from
hard.
Texas.
I've been trying to get fired since the third or fourth stream. So it hasn't been working out. But hey, it looks like we got a bunch of people in the chat already. Eric Wade is in, Thomas Elmer, Andrew, Host Chun, kinds of people.
Yep.
I think the idea today, since we didn't have a whole lot of major planning, was just to grab a bunch of samples. Even though I don't know if Hayes has any samples nearby that he could grab, but I figured that could find something, and we could just get through a few samples and see what happens.
Yeah. So I turns out I do have one or two samples I could get into.
That's good. I was hoping that you'd have at least a couple.
Yeah. So hope everyone's doing good tonight. I did reach behind me and pull off a few new drams in the dram cave back here. And the first off, which I haven't tried yet and just recently acquired from a friend, James Dennis, and that is the Laphroaig 10-year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's definitely the youngest Laphroaig I've ever had. This is at 46.3%, and it is quite a pleasant little dram, to be honest.
Nice. I'm starting sort of against my my usual fare with some bourbon with E.H. Taylor single barrel.
Nice.
It is 50 ABV. I think that might have even come from you, but I'm not 100% sure.
It is possible. It's one of my faves. That's also James's favorite. James I was just mentioning. It's, in my opinion, it is the best readily available EHT. And I say that in quotations because it depends on where you are. They're lotto items for us even. Generally speaking, the three common releases that I believe they produce all year long is the single, the small batch, and the rye. And then they have a lot of specific seasonal releases that are also fantastic. But that single barrel is one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best bourbons in its class.
It is very tasty. It's super brown sugary.
It is super sugary, really sweet. It's got a lot of those classic bourbon characteristics, but it also has its own little thing there that is, and it's, I side by side it a lot with the small batch. There was a time when I actually liked the small batch a little more, but now that I've spent more time on both of them, the single really shows through with much more flavor, a lot more depth, and that brown sugary sweetness. It's almost like apple pie, brown sugar, crusty type of note on there, and then you get all that wonderful vanilla and other bourbon notes that are just fantastic.
Yep, it's weirdly reminding me of the prepackaged things of brown sugar oatmeal.
Yep,
that
yep,
you just like add boiling water to or whatever.
yep. I can see that for sure.
Like there's other things going on, but like that's just sort of the immediate like, oh, I like that.
Yep.
It's very tasty.
Yeah, it's a really good one. That's a knockout bourbon. The Laphroaig is super nice, and I was expecting, because a lot of the other Laphroaigs I've had have been like 18 years or like 15 and up. So I was expecting a little more bite from this, but it's actually quite rounded for a 10-year-old.
Oh boy, someone in the chat was drinking Gold Bar with the Rock Cut review earlier.
Ooh,
Sounds rough. I haven't had
yeah,
that one, but it didn't sound great.
yeah, I've never had it either, but it's not on the top of my list for whiskeys to try.
No. The full bottle would make an interesting infinity bottle, though, like the Gold Bar looking shape. Like it's a
It is
weird
pretty
bottle.
cool. You have to hand it to a lot of those lesser quality and again, taste is subjective, but a lot of whiskeys out there that have the only thing going for them is the gimmick of a fancy bottle, and that's certainly one of them. And there's going to be a lot of people that will walk into a liquor store and pick that up because of what the bottle looks like.
Yep. They're going for those first time customers like that just see something interesting and buy it, and then they'll probably never get it again, but at least they got it once.
Yeah, for sure. J-Mac is drinking Laphroaig quarter cask, and that is, as everyone knows,
Very
if
nice.
you've watched before, one of my favorites. Great, great dram. Yeah. Oh, and Puffs and Drams finds the Gold Bar bottle pretty tacky. It absolutely is
Oh,
tacky,
sure.
but it is a standout bottle. Like I said, it's certainly not going to win any awards for classiest bottle, depending on the circle of people you're in.
Fair.
But it does stand out on a shelf, like Brad said, someone that walks in there first time customer, someone that's not too educated, and they're maybe wanting to pick up a bottle for somebody that they heard likes whiskey, so they're gonna pick something like that up that stands out. But it certainly doesn't reflect, apparently, the contents of the bottle.
Not you. I mean, every once in a while, hey, something with the gimmicky bottle works out. Blanton's has a pretty gimmicky bottle with their toppers and stuff, and people go crazy for that stuff.
Yep.
So, I mean, it can work out. It's a hit or miss sort of situation.
Yep, big time. Best to start with the juice and then make the bottle after if you can.
Exactly.
I think somebody like Gold Bar might have potentially had the idea in their head for the bottle before they even distilled a drop. But yeah, it
Wouldn't
is
surprise
marketing.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
marketing first and then, whiskey is not a great long-term plan. Yeah, I guess depending on what you're going for, it can be. It works out for some companies.
Yeah, on
But
a business level,
yeah, on a business level, like it can work. I would not necessarily go that direction, but it can be done. Otherwise, Gold Bar probably wouldn't still exist. So can't really fault them for doing what seems to be working for them.
they didn't distill a drop. It is sourced, and I
So
was
that
gonna,
makes sense.
I was thinking that, but so I guess doesn't really matter too much on that level when you're sourcing your product, but looks like
It
all.
depends. Some source stuff can be pretty good too. Like that's not necessarily a measure of quality. It's often not a great sign unless they're doing something to it after they source it. But
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
work out.
Yep. Um. What do we
Yeah,
got?
Puffs and Drams is saying they're getting some attention, so I guess it's working. Like, yeah, no, it's
We're
from a
talking about.
marketing perspective, it definitely can work. It's just tricky.
Yeah.
It's tricky to maintain the momentum of a gimmick.
This Laphroaig is really, really tasty.
Teresa, Canadian Whiskey Smith, is asking, what are people's thoughts on Willett? Speaking of gimmicky bottles. I haven't had a lot of Willett stuff. I have tried Willett amongst a ton of other things, so I don't remember specifics. I don't remember hating it, but I don't remember anything super special about it offhand.
I've had a few. She might be referring to, I think it's the birthday whiskey. That's the really super gimmicky bottle. It almost looks like a pot still.
Right.
It's actually it's pretty tasty. I've had it a couple times. I've also had I think a 3 or a 4 year that came in just a rather standard, almost a wine bottle. But I think she's thinking of the birthday whiskey. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a super gimmicky looking bottle. But the juice is actually pretty tasty.
Eric Wade is mentioning the gimmicky, like the Game of Thrones stuff, which is sort of gimmicky in a different direction. The marketing is definitely gimmicky, attaching itself to Game of Thrones, but the bottles are just all normal bottles. Okay, and some of them were good, and some of them were not so good. It was again very hit or miss, depending on the actual juice.
The birthday is the Old Forester, and the bottle is semi-similar, but not quite. The Willett is the pot still reserve that has that really funky pot still looking bottle. And I should have put 2 and 2 together there, but my brain's a bit scattered tonight. The Old Forester has the birthday bourbon, and it's kind of like a shorter, squat version of the same style bottle. But so I actually have had the pot still, Teresa, but truth be told, I can't recall any notes on it, or if I did or didn't enjoy it, because it was early in my journey when I wasn't really paying attention to that type of stuff. Regretfully, there's a lot of fantastic stuff that I got to try before my journey was at a point of full appreciation and note taking. But I can speak to the Old Forester birthday bourbon being good. It's really nice stuff. And yeah, Jason Unsworth pointed that out. But yeah, definitely talking about Old Forester. And if anyone knows those bottles, you'll see where I got slightly confused, because the birthday bourbon is just kind of like a squat, same relative profile, and like a short fat and then a big neck on it, but not quite as extensive as the Willett, which does indeed look like a pot still. And from based on other Willets I've had, it's probably pretty good. That one might be.
Haven't had that one yet.
That one might be a looker and a taster.
Speaking of tasting, I need another sample. Let's see, what do I have? I have some smoky stuff. So what do I have that's not smoky? So, I got some Legent. Let's go with that.
I have not tried that yet. I do have a sample here, though, so I think that I will probably join you in my next one here. I'm still babying this Laphroaig. It's quite nice.
The rookie wine and whiskey enthusiast. Yeah, hi. He says, "Evening, gents and Brad." So which is fair.
He knows how to shout out a greeting on this channel.
Yeah. Oh, and they're drinking Old Bardstown, bottled and bond. Nice.
Oh, this is quite nice.
That's interesting. What percentage is that? 47. Okay.
And so that is the and I don't know the precise details, but that is the Japanese whiskey makers working with I can't remember the
something. Yeah, it was a combination deal. It's just a sample that I got, but by the bottle, I'm assuming it was from one of the Toronto gatherings. But
Peter White, you won 4 bottles in the LCBO lottery for ETL. That is amazing. Yeah, I didn't win a single one.
Yeah, me either.
Mike, listen. A looker and a taster should be your call signs tonight. So I'm happy to be the taster.
That doesn't seem accurate. That's all right.
What do you guys think of Laphroaig 10 if you've had it? I'm enjoying this a lot more than I thought that I would.
I remember liking it. Yeah, that's one of those things that I try to like a sip of among a bunch of things at a crowd of people. I don't remember a ton about it, but I think I remember enjoying it.
Yeah, Puffs and Drams got one. Yeah, you certainly were lucky to grab to snag one.
Even just one is great. Yeah, but 4 is crazy.
Yeah, Peter White, maybe you can let us know if you have any tips or tricks or superstitions. Like
right.
Put one
what
foot.
What kind of socks were you wearing when you?
Yeah, red socks. 1 foot in a bucket of water. Plug your nose. Turn your head.
What did you do?
Click the button.
We need the secrets, but don't say them here because too many people will see it. Just let us know privately.
Yeah, I have not been incredibly lucky with LCBO lottos. Stag Junior and I believe EHT single barrel. The only 2 I've ever won, and I have applied for many. And I request like 4 at minimum, 5, sometimes 6 bottles of each bottle, because I know that if I do win them, I can get them to people, because we have a big group of friends that would certainly appreciate the win. But
yeah, I would definitely take a couple of something off your hands if you needed me to.
Yeah, I know that they wouldn't go to waste. J-Mac just picked up the 10, haven't cracked it yet. Mose Chun, if I'm pronouncing that right, loves the Laphroaig 10, but kind of light on the peat. I'm kind of liking that it's really got that wonderful Tobermory notes. I'm wondering if this has got a bit, if it's sherried a bit. My nose isn't particularly on today. It's a little seasonal, a little snow seasonal, stuffy, but it's really, really nice. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. Thanks, James, for this, buddy.
Okay, so Peter White is outsourcing to everybody that he knows.
Smart.
Which, I mean, you're playing the odds, essentially. That's a good call.
Yeah. Yeah, it's smart. You got to do it, right? We just kind of bank on, we have a group of, I don't know, maybe there's 6 or 7 of us that all enter. And we personally, my email has never won a ball. Yeah, okay. So it's a smart move. It's you got to do what you got to do. 4 is amazing. I'd love to know roughly how many people you had enter to see what your the odds were there. But
he's just running billboards.
Yeah. Puffs and Drams, people definitely open multiple accounts to get extra bottles. So for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, we live in Ontario, the land of government-controlled liquor, and lotto bottles, which a lot of them used to be available on the shelf. For example, Stag Junior, for years I used to be able to walk right in, drop $80 and grab a Stag Junior. And then once the bourbon boom kind of really started taking effect, they turned it into a lotto item and jacked the price. So we have to enter a lotto, of which thousands and thousands and thousands of people do. And lots of people do have multiple accounts, which I think all you need is a different email. So it's fairly easy to to do that. And then you have to hope that you win the chance to spend a ridiculous amount of money on a bottle that used to be sitting on the shelf. So it's a pretty big deal up here for those of us in Ontario. While we can get some really good Scotch and other stuff from other sources, bourbon is generally not as widely available as it is in the States. Oh, Mark's upset because it's only two of us and we didn't call him.
That's it. Just give him the link.
That's not my department. I know nothing technical whatsoever. One day I will be proficient enough to like throw up a caption or a picture or something for the ETL.
We can make this work.
Where did Eric go? Eric, are you still here? If you are, what are you drinking at home? What's everyone drinking at home?
Now we wait and we see if Mark actually shows up.
Eric's not here. Okay. All good.
It's a little awkward, but sure.
Mike Lissack with the Octo 8.2. Nice one.
Ooh, nice. Oh, I still got to try to get some of the 10s if they're still available, don't I? Damn.
I've got some 10.
Do you?
Yeah, I'd be happy to fill you up.
All right. Well, I'll have to steal a sample next time I'm down then, maybe.
Yeah, I'll fill you up a fat one. It's quite delicious. I can't, every time I talk about it, or I had a buddy of mine come over the other day and was talking about that bottle appeal that we were speaking about earlier in that gold bar and whatnot, and the Octomore caught his eye in that shiny silver tin. I pulled out the bottle and he was pretty impressed, and then I had to pour some because it's Octomore.
Of course, yeah. No, I haven't had a bad Octomore yet, so I assume I'm going to like all of the 10 stuff, but who knows?
Yeah, it is super, super good, and I should have sent you with a sample the last time that you were down. Truth be told, I thought that you would have had some.
I've had to behave with all the traveling. I haven't been doing too much whiskey
Fair
purchases.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hard to justify, spending money on traveling to Austin and getting a bunch of whiskey there, and then also getting Octomore like a week later. So
yeah, fair enough. Eric is drinking Highland Park 12 Ness of Brodgar Legacy Single Malt Scotch. That sounds pretty awesome because I love Highland Park, and judging that it's a 12, I'm guessing it's.
We have a surprise. We have a surprise entrant. We have
hey gents,
our reporter.
I wanted to let
from
you guys see what I'm up to tonight because we got a little. Where is it? Up there. Oh no! Look at this. Oh wow! I cannot figure out where my camera is looking. Hey, look at that.
It's okay. You can work it up. There
we go.
Laphroaig 25. That's good stuff.
And a little Brora 19 for you.
Ooh.
Look at that. Look at that fella. So, yeah, I wanted to stop in and let you all know you should be jealous of the evening I'm about to have. We've also got a secret
I am
bottle.
very
Don't know what's
jealous.
in here yet. We're going to find out.
Secrets.
That's a Brad special right there.
I just see
Like random number or letter on it.
We have another surprise
so-
host. We're filling up with hosts now.
All right, I'm
Hey,
going to
Mark.
pop out,
Hey,
but good
Mark.
to see you guys.
All right, thanks for stopping in, Ed. You make me jealous. Damn it.
Hey, Mark, how are you tonight?
Well, it couldn't be just two of us.
It's true. It is awkward when I have to do a significant amount of talking. Nobody needs that. So the more people, the better.
Okay,
How you doing,
not
Mark?
expect this. I was hoping the first time I did this, I'd be up at the distillery with a laptop instead of on a cell phone in my garage.
Hey,
It's all
good
good.
enough.
It's all good. We're not that professional, you know. As much as we like to pretend, cell phone footage is more than adequate
Oh yeah,
for our needs.
it's your wonderful face that counts, Mark. It doesn't matter where you are.
Unfortunately,
No, forget that. Where's the nog? We need nog.
We
That's
want
all
the
I'm worried
nog.
about.
Well, you've heard, most of you out there haven't really heard the problems we've been having. We've had some major issues with their electrical inspector. So jumping through some severe hoops, he came in last week. We've had to scrap our whole control panel, and now we're rewiring the whole distillery.
Sheesh.
Jesus, man.
So,
For anyone who doesn't know, by the way, somehow Mark is setting up a distillery, Silver Fox Distilling, and it's progressing very nicely, but having some hiccups getting started, unfortunately, because of red tape and things.
well, yeah, it's we were really well, let's put it this way: we're shitting bricks about the CRA, and that turned out to be the easiest part of this whole process.
Sheesh.
So the electrician's in today. He'll be in all day tomorrow. We've ripped out the panel. It's another 10 grand, but we're putting in all new electrical. And the inspector will be up again on Friday, and hopefully Saturday we will turn the boilers on.
Sweet.
All my fingers are crossed and arms.
Yeah.
I still haven't even been to the distillery. I got to get up there pretty soon at some point.
You really have to. It's why don't we plan a special Saturday event, do a live online, and we'll do it all at the distillery.
That'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. And there's lots of places for you to stay. He's only 30 minutes away from me, if that.
If I could just kidnap Vito to make sure he shows up, it'll be great.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Vito?
He's around somewhere. He's got life things going on.
He misses all of you dearly. He does.
His priorities are in the right place, I suppose, you know.
Well, I don't know. I saw some videos from Texas, and I haven't seen much of him since then.
He might still be in Texas.
So what are you two drinking tonight?
I just finished a very long baby dram of Laphroaig 10, which is from Tobermory.
Yeah.
The Isle of Mull. It's very, very nice it's the youngest Laphroaig I've ever had. I was expecting a little less refinement and a little more peaty punch, but it was actually quite rounded and really nice. And now I've just moved on to the Aaron, let's hope I'm pronouncing this correct, Cote Roti cask finish, 2019. Just did a bottle split on this one.
Nice.
And as I mentioned in pretty much every episode, I'm on a huge wine cask finish kick right now.
Fair.
And this is just fantastic on the nose.
I'm just going to crack into some North Star Spirits Glen Totcher's 10-year.
Glen Totcher's so good. Yeah. One of my favorites. I was thinking about getting another bottle of that because where is that? Oh, up on the top there. For me, one of those 8-ounce bottles will last literally months. But this one is kind of dropping down kind of quick because I find myself going back to it a lot. It's super dry, winey, dry red winey, and it's still got all of those nice fruity notes. And It's definitely my first Glentuckers. In fact, I never heard of the distillery before we had that release, and we had to look it up. But I really, really like it.
This will be my first, so smells good.
Well, I think I need to maybe walk inside and get something to join you with.
That's a good idea.
That's a very good idea.
Maybe I'll turn the heater on out here too.
Just drink more whiskey and it won't matter.
You guys get all that snow up there, Mark?
Oh, we got hammered. Yeah, we got hammered really well. So, let's see. There's that. There's this. You know, the wife, every year my wife goes away for a extra long weekend. She goes down to the States and she does some shopping and, has a good time with her daughter and her sister. And occasionally she brings me back a nice little present. Nice. This year she was, I said, surprise me. So, and maybe I'll let you guys decide which one I'm going to be surprised with. What do you think I should try?
Ooh, I'm gonna lean towards that Balvenie because I recently was also gifted a Balvenie. Mine came from Scotland and it was super delicious. What was that Glenlivet again?
The Glenlivet triple cask Distiller's Reserve.
Haven't had that one.
Yeah, haven't had that one. The Fire and Cane is super nice. It really is a great dram.
Yep, I've already been in the Fire and Cane, but the Balvenie and the Glenlivet I haven't opened yet.
I would go for the Balvenie.
I agree.
Okay. Give me a second here.
Oh, Eric Waite just mentioned in the chat that he rescheduled his stream that he was going to do today with Ardbeg stuff.
Oh,
so
well,
step on our stream.
Appreciate that, Eric, and it's nice to have you join us. So appreciate that. Peter White just dropping the awesome bottle references here. Nova Scotia apparently has quite a decent selection of independent bottles.
Yeah, Nova Scotia is seeming more and more like Alberta with their actual love of whiskey and whiskey being there.
Well,
for more than just the baseline cheapest nonsense.
Now, have either of you ever looked online at the was it Iron Root? Ironworks in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia?
Haven't, no.
When you get a chance.
My mom was just there for her honeymoon.
When you get a chance, have a look at that distillery. They're doing some pretty amazing things, especially in the community. But it's really a neat distillery because it's the only wood-fired still I've seen in production.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, so excuse me a sec. This one's the wives. I'll be right back.
Hi, Lisa.
That's good. Keep her happy so she keeps bringing back fun whiskeys. That's a good strategy.
Yes, that's the Balvenie, dear. Okay, I'm gonna hide back out in the garage, and I've got my little dram. I'm good.
Excellent.
Awesome. Eric, did I pronounce the Côte Rôti correctly? I believe that falls under your expertise.
Sounds correct enough. Sure.
I don't know a bunch about it. I know like 1/1000th of about wine as Eric does, but I was a big wine buff before I got into whiskey, and I think it's my love of wonderful red wine has really played out in the past couple of months with me enjoying the wine cask finish on so many different drams, and this is no different. It is really nice. Lots of dark dried fruits.
Oh, Patrick from my whiskey den just showed up. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Patty.
If anyone hasn't seen the ridiculous game of D&D that me and Patrick and Jeremy played over on the Rot Gut channel with Ed as the DM yesterday, it's a pretty silly time.
Yeah, I need to finish that. I watched up until I think what happened before I left. Jeremy rolled a natural 1. And then I think Patty's first roll was a 20. And I believe
there was a lot of one side or the other, 20.
Last thing I saw was going down the secret passage. Jeremy decided to light a candle and I quote, "Hope to fuck I don't burn." And then I had some other stuff to do, but I'm looking forward to watching the rest of that because there is something entertaining. If you're not playing, it's still entertaining to watch. Like, and obviously, like this is the first time I've seen any type of technology involved D&D.
Right.
And I know it's existed forever and all of that, but we always just played it in person and stuff. So really neat to see it online. And it was really entertaining just because of the participants, the wonderful cast of characters.
It was a good time. Even though Patrick kicked me down the stairs once and Jeremy kicked me down the stairs once. I'll forgive them for the sake of comedy. It was a good time.
Yes, I'm awesome. Sitting in the back seat of a PT Cruiser watching you guys. And, yeah, I was there.
Oh yeah, you were. Someone was eating Burger King.
Yeah, my son was in the front seat pushing it back, and I was stuck in the back.
Nice. So, how was that dram, Mark?
It's a whole lot smoother than I had expected. You know, I thought it was going to be a little more astringent and a little heavier on the palate, but it's a wonderful dram. You know, that's better than most McKellans I've had.
Nice.
Yep, and there you go, right? And that'll bring us into the whole big thing of Macallan's not being bad by any means, just most cases not being worth the crazy prices, in our opinion. But
well, the crazy prices have to pay for the advertisement.
Of course, when you're flying with the wings of an eagle.
Did you ever see the making of that video?
I didn't, no.
Oh, the making of it is out there too. It's even funnier than the actual video.
I'll have to check that one out for sure.
Yep.
Because they certainly do have some nice marketing and advertising. I will hand it to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's, you know, we're planning on a trip to Scotland, and we'd like to do it next fall. If not, it'll be the following year for sure. McKellen's top on our list, just because the money they put into that new facility they have and the design of their stills is unbelievable.
Just make sure you don't go anywhere near a special release day. You get friggin' traffic.
It would be bonkers, yeah.
But yeah, and that's the cool thing for someone like yourself is that it's not just an awesome experience as a whiskey enthusiast. As somebody who's got a distillery, it's a constant learning thing for you, and that must be really neat to have that added element of interest to what's, again, not just a hobby, but what's going to be a career.
Well, and you know what? You both know me, and the other people are learning over time, but I'm very mechanically inclined, and I really enjoy learning, and I love experimenting and seeing how things work. And yeah, that's when I go to a distillery, that's what I'm looking at. You know, their flavors, everybody has a flavor they like, and they're producing what is quality in their hearts. So, you know, and whether or not I like it or not, that doesn't matter. You know, for me, It's what does it look like? How are you producing it? Why did you make these choices on your designs? That's where I really get interested when I do a distillery tour.
As someone who has been on a distillery tour with Mark, that is very true. There's a lot of questions. I just stood back and watched, and it was great. I learned a lot because he knew what the questions he should ask were, and I was just learning. It was amazing.
You know what? We went on that trip. We grabbed Brad. We dragged him along with us, and it was the biggest surprise is the gentleman that was giving us the distillery tour was 17 years old.
Wow.
And he'd been doing the distillery tour since he was just turned 16,
something like that. Yeah, they poached him from like some fast food joint or something.
Yeah, they nailed him.
And he knew what he was talking about, like in the tour. Like it was clear that he knew what was going on. It wasn't just, someone who didn't have a clue. Like, yeah, whatever. Here's the still. Here's whatever. He knew his stuff.
Yeah, it was hilarious because when he told us the story, is the owners of the distillery were in the drive-through. They made it up to the window, and then they pulled around, walked in, and hired him on the spot.
Awesome. Awesome. So I forget because it's been a while and so much has gone on, and once again my brain is scattered tonight. Was that still in Ontario, or did you guys cross into Quebec?
It was in Ontario and Perth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say he only has one more year if he's in Quebec to taste the wonderful goods, and not to say that maybe he hasn't, but I'm not.
Yeah, he never tried anything. I'm sure of that.
Legally, we cannot confirm nor deny.
Caleb, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, I can't see any of the remarks on the chat. So,
well, if anybody directs anything to you,
if something comes my way, let me know.
I will indeed read it out for sure.
Now, I know, Brad, it's a bit of a trip for you to get down to here, and I do expect you to come down and have a look at our place.
Oh, I will.
But have you looked at the new distillery in Guelph yet?
No. Is that the one that's in the old schoolhouse?
It's in the old factory. John Sleeman, the owner of Sleeman, sold that company a few years ago, and I think he tried to retire, much like me, and then he sunk all the money into that new distillery in Guelph. So it's really neat because he's running a very old Scotch style of still. So he's got two of the very large copper kettle stills, and he also has a continuous still there.
Yeah, I have a friend who invested quite early in that project when they had all of the incentives for having your name in the tasting room and all of that jazz.
Yeah.
And I haven't talked to him in a while. He's a pretty good buddy of mine. He's just busy and traveling, but I haven't been there, and that's something maybe we can all meet up, because that's pretty much in between us. And not too far of a trip. Have you checked it out, Mark?
Actually, Lisa and I, we weren't planning on it. We just dropped in, and we were started chatting with the fellows there, and they just took us on a tour out of the blue. It's the last part of the evening, and it was fantastic. It's reminiscent of what you would see in Scotland.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So just want to say a quick hi to Dave, who popped in here. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming out. Had an awesome time on the weekend, and I got spoiled by Dave big time on a few drams that maybe I'll share about in a few minutes. And Mark, Eric Waite wanted to let you know that he's been to 40 distilleries in Scotland, including Macallan. So if you need any tips on travel, let him know. And
that'll be worthwhile.
I replied, only 40? I mean, what, did you get lazy?
Yeah,
he was only there for a week.
Like, geez Louise.
Just like a dozen distilleries a day or so, it's fine.
I don't think I could do more than one a day because of what I want to see. It's not just the glaze around, and I want to see the mechanics of it. I want to see it closer. So yeah, I think more.
Sure.
I don't know if I could do more than one a day.
You'll have to have an extra long trip then.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Although it was surprising. Now, once again, I call this a journey, ever since from the learning to the distillery and everything else. But the journey has encompassed so much more. It has encompassed new friends like you folks, incredible discoveries. You two in front of me have taught me an amazing amount on this journey as well, and it's also discovery. As we discovered the different types of drams, it's a discovery of ourselves and of our spouses. I had no idea, and nor did my wife, that she was a huge Isla girl. It shocked the hell out of me. But that made sure that when we do go to Scotland, Laphroaig is on one of our agendas as well as Ardbeg.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's everything you said is definitely true, and I'm sure we can all relate to that. It's the constantly evolving journey is a really fun one, and I think the best byproduct of the whiskey hobby has been you guys and meeting everyone that I've met. And while it was formed because of whiskey, we are legitimate friends outside of that. And as far as a byproduct goes from having, a culture that surrounds a hobby like this, it's been like one of the greatest benefits ever, because I've just met so many awesome people that I have lots of fun with. And I can't relate on the spouse issue. However, Ashley is not an Isla girl. She's
April either.
I'm
She
still
leaves the room.
I'm still waiting to get her just onto any whiskey. And I'm sure the time will come, but until now, I will just get my fun little enjoyment off of her smelling me from across the room when I've had something heavy peated, and the look on her face is just fantastic. I've tried on multiple times to film her to try and get her to take a taste of something heavy peated, because I love those videos. I love them.
Sure.
But she's not super interested. So it is her birthday on the weekend, though. So maybe I can try, after she's maybe had some wine and other stuff, to sneak a dram in there.
Sure.
I am pretty sure you could work her up to it. I'm pretty sure there's some stuff at the distillery that is steppable for her.
There you go.
You know,
Speaking of Isla stuff, I have some Laphroaig Carchus Fino cask here, so I figured I would pour some of that.
So good. Okay, so another one for you, Mark. Eric says he has a map and Scotland distillery touring guide that he created and is available for free. They indicate whether or not they are open to the public with schedules and such. So probably you might want to reach out to Eric at some point to.
Right, I'll go through. Like I say, I can't see any of the chat right now because I'm on my iPhone. But I'll go through this after and write that his name down and try and get a hold of him.
Yeah, so Eric Waiton, if you check out his Facebook group, you can download them from the files section.
Okay.
So
that'll be excellent.
Yeah. So yeah, that certainly comes in handy. It's nice to have firsthand. We can read as many Yelp reviews and Google reviews as we want, but it's nice to have like a firsthand account of how things went, because it's different for folks like us, for true enthusiasts, than it is for Jim and John who just go to Scotland and the thing to do is go to a distillery, and they're not so much into whiskey or anything, so they go there, and it might be one of the worst tours in Scotland, but to someone who's never been on a tour before and isn't into whiskey, might think it was the coolest thing they've ever seen, having never seen a distillery. So it's nice to have that inside info, if you will, from an enthusiast.
Yeah, I mean, I always liken it to the fact that it's the Scottish distilleries are the Canadian Niagara Falls.
Yeah. It's true.
I guess, sure.
You go over there and family's going to take you to a distillery, or someone's going to take you to a distillery, or you're going to go to a distillery. It's going to be suggested by, your cab driver or the barkeep. And like you said, it's just what you do when you're over there. Although probably not as many weddings. Actually, you know what? I won't say that. I bet you there's an awful lot of people that get married at distilleries.
Oh, no doubt.
Probably a thing that happens.
Yeah. And Eric has also been offering tips in his recent video series, An American in Scotland 2019.
Cool.
So you can lots of pre-trip research material there.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Oh, hey, have you guys seen the video I posted on Saturday or Sunday?
No.
Okay, I don't think I've checked YouTube since
okay, well,
then.
as some of you know, I have the how am I going to do this? I have the channel Still in Canada, and that's my start in all this. So we just dropped a new video on Sunday, and it just shows the outline of where we are at the distillery so far.
Awesome. I've really been loving the updates from when you were still putting everything together. I made sure to share it every time because it's really awesome what you're doing up there. And just a quick recap again for you folks that don't know, Mark is not even starting. He's got a distillery pretty much ready to go, except for a bit of red tape. With a very somewhat stickler of an inspector, and
wow,
Mark,
that's the nicest way I never could have put it that nicely.
I'm trying to be nice, and yeah. So if you can check out any of Mark's stuff again, that's Still in Canada, and it's really awesome to have seen everything kind of go. The first time me and Vito went up there, there was no equipment in there, just rough layouts and working on all the finishing touches of just the general setup and where everything's going. And you were waiting for everything still to get shipped, which was another, can of worms there, and the logistics coming from so far and everything. But it's been really interesting and really neat to see it from that level, and I am absolutely I am just chomping at the bit to see things up and running for you, and I really hope that this next inspection goes well, because I know you, I know what you've done, I know that you're being held to a higher standard than a lot of other places are, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and you know what? And even in the design of my distillery, because I designed most of what the parts are and everything else, I've gone well above what was required. And, because we are after specific type of flavoring, and what we already know what we want to run, we had to design certain things a certain way. So, yeah, we've gone well above what is expected, what others in the industry in this area have done. To get stuck like this with the one chap, and this one guy has caused me a 5-week delay so far.
Yeah,
it'll get there. It'll get there, and I'll have to go up sometime in the next few weeks and see it. I think we'll have to work out a trip.
Yeah. So
I need to see it in person.
You really haven't. I'm surprised, Daniel. I'm surprised you haven't been up yet, because the pictures online do not do this justice. To see all that shiny stuff, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna have to bring a couple extra batteries for the camera, that's for sure. Exercise my finger, because it's just and and it's great. And the way that you did design things, like just looking at blueprints and having you explain everything was enough for me to kind of picture it out. And it was just so interesting. And the passion that you have towards this project, I'm sure there's multiple people that have started distilleries that it's just an investment for them. And for you, it's much, much more than that. And it really shows. And like I said, again, I'm really excited for things to get up and running. I can't wait.
Yeah, and we're itching. Because of going through all the paperwork and everything else, we've really laid back on our YouTube channel. But now that we're getting really close to the end, as soon as we're open, then I'm hitting that really hard, because I think a lot of there's a lot of this that's hidden, or people don't quite know what's going on in this distillery. And when I touched on our YouTube channel, it was about my journey. It's about learning. It's understanding everything, bringing all that information for everyone to see. And I'm going to be hitting that again, right from the very grain that we'll use, how to split it open, how to use it, how to measure it, how to calculate your own recipes, right up to the mash, the still, everything. That's all going to be on the YouTube channel. And we're going to schedule it for both the small still as well as for the large ones, so that the mystery is taking out of it. But we show the science. We show the subtleties of having to taste and smell and everything. So that's I'm itching, and I'm kind of excited to get back into that again.
Yeah, that'd be very cool.
Yeah, it's I can only imagine. And just having this last silly little hurdle is just such a pain in the ass. But you know what? You're a very positive and patient guy, so I know it's going to pay off. And this too shall pass, as they say.
Oh yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we'll get some of that sweet, sweet nog. I need it. I have to go up before Christmas because I need nog for Christmas. Like, I need that nog.
We got the label done for it, and that is going to be one of our first runs, is to get that ready. So
awesome.
Excellent.
Steve A showed up finally here, and justifiably late. Just saw what you posted there. 29-year-old single cask Glenallachie, Glendronach 18, 2 years of that, and 21, and the Balvenie Tune 1509, Laphroaig 28. Yeah, you did a good job tonight, Steve. Nice one.
I mean, I guess if those are your priorities, that's fine.
Steve, I'd love to hear what was the star of the tasting for you out of those.
Okay, like real talk. Like, if I could try those, I wouldn't be here either. So it's fair.
Now, in that, I just came to my mind. I ordered in the Whiskey Boutique's Advent calendar.
Oh, nice.
So that's coming up to the local LCBO to me. And does everyone looked at what's in that yet? Oh, look at this! There it is.
Nice.
I did take a peek at the first one because I need to build a new shelf, and I wanted to calculate the size. So I did pop out the first one, which is a bourbon, and if you have big fingers, you're never gonna get them out. Oh my goodness gracious! So
cool.
They got nifty little. It really doesn't want to focus.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's the first one, and I'm not going to look at what the rest of them are.
What was listed online looked really interesting. Now, what caught my attention was that there's a 32-year-old, there's some 28s, some 25s, 23s. So there's some really aged spirits in there, and some of them are well-known names. But then on the flip side is you see there's a couple of 3-year-olds. So, and that is really interesting to me is the company that put this together rates these 3-year-olds in acceptable order to the 32-year-old. So, I'm kind of curious, these 3-year-olds, how well they're going to stand up.
Yeah, or at least worthy to like compare because it's interesting.
Yeah. That first bourbon I pulled out is 2 years old. The pick looked like Julian. It kind of did, actually. That's pretty funny, Patty. And I'm glad that you like Trailer Park Boys. That's awesome.
So I didn't get that advent calendar, but I am getting the Secret Spirits one. It's
Oh.
probably going to be here any day, but it hasn't shown up yet.
So at Dave's, Dave K in the chat, me and another friend, James, went to Dave's on the weekend, and I got severely spoiled as usual. And one of the spoilings was actually from the last Secret Spirits calendar. It was oh shit, my memory is the worst. I'm pretty sure it was a 13-year-old Laphroaig, and it was spectacular. Just so many. Brad and Dave spoil me for whiskey every time I see them. It never ceases. It never stops. 14-year-old. Okay. Yeah, it was a 14-year-old Laphroaig, and it was just fantastic. It was very, very similar to the 15, which is one of my favorite drams of all time. And it was, I believe, an AD Rattray bottling, but I could be wrong. We aim to please. Yeah, Dave. The first thing I had was, I think it was a signatory Bunnahabhain, and it was out of this world. One of the best Bunnas I had, followed by Cadenhead's 28-year-old Glenfarclas. Wow. Yeah, from 1988. It was just knockout. And then the Highland Park Trillium, which was the Ontario exclusive, and to this date, by far and away, yes, cask strength, no less. They were all of these were cask strength. The Highland Park Trillium, which was the Ontario exclusive, was the best Ontario exclusive I've ever had. Not having had a ton of them, we don't get much of them, but fantastic 12-year-old Highland Park.
Well, I have quite a few Highland Parks, and to this day, I still am favoring the 25-year-old. That to me has been the most magical dram I've ever had.
Well, yeah, I haven't had that one. I've only had a few Highland Parks. But.
It's very, 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 very tasty. For me, the best Highland Park I've ever had was a North Star. It was the North Star Orkney. Can't remember the specifics. I got this one from Adam Brudner. It's at 63.7%, so certainly cask strength, and it's only 11 years old, but it was fantastic. I'm pretty sure it was sherried, and my top 5 favorite Highland Parks are all independent bottled.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
It just speaks a lot. And again, North Star. Everyone knows my opinion on North Star. They can't do any wrong.
Oh yeah, all of the stuff that I've had from them have been great so far. I think all of it has come from you too, which is interesting.
I see North Star and I go crazy. They are they're the Compass box of independent bottled single malts. And I don't think Compass Box does any single malts. I think they're all blends, if I am correct. But I've never had a bad compass box. I've never had a bad North Star. And to go even further, not only have I not had a bad one, I've never had anything that was less than spectacular.
Just don't have compass box orangery, and you'll probably keep that pattern.
Nope, it's already on my do not. It's already on my do not project. Keep that.
That's the only one that comes anywhere near to not enjoyable for me, and that's just because I don't enjoy the specific notes. Like, they're going for a very specific thing, and I happen to not like that thing, so I'm not a fan. But some people are. I mean,
Yep. We all have different tastes.
but yeah, that's the only compass box so far that I have not enjoyed or loved.
And for you, that's still pretty damn good odds. That's a great average, because
I've had a lot of compass box things.
Yeah, I've seen his closet. It's
yeah. There's a shelf that's mostly compass box.
Yeah. But North Star is there's not one. I haven't even heard of somebody disliking a North Star. So yeah, it's you can't go wrong there. And Mark, the next time you're in town or around our neck of the woods, or maybe if Dave joins us on a trip up there, he can bring you a bit of this Trillium. Do you remember seeing that one that was the Ontario exclusive? I don't know if it'll pick up the on my phone. It's probably not going to. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Yeah, there it is. No, I have seen that one and I didn't grab it.
Dave, I think Dave saw it on clearance, believe it or not, and even at the regular retail price, well worth it, but certainly worth any discount on it at all. I was actually really impressed, and even hearing really good things from people you trust, you're still like, oh, but it's Ontario, like you're thinking it's going to be picked by a real not great person that should be picking barrels. But we came to the agreement of the conclusion that this one was probably picked by Highland Park and said, here, this is what you're going to have for the Trillium release. Yeah,
I guess Whiskey Wise is saying that Compass Box recently released 3 single malts. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. So are those the first single malts that they've released? If anyone can chime in on that? And
I don't know. I know there's not a ton, but I don't know.
Yeah. And I always said I would love for them to release single malts because they obviously are great at cask selection. So they're picking great stuff that obviously goes well when they blend it, but it would be great to see a single malt from them just shining out in what will undoubtedly be a cask strength, I imagine. So I'll have to check that out. Whiskey Wise, thanks for that nugget of information. Oh yeah, the Myth and Legend series. Okay, so I did know about that, but not fully. Didn't realize those were single malts, and we'll definitely have to check that out. Dave. Okay, so yeah, it was Williamson 13, AD Rattray single cask, Isla single malt, 57.3%, no color added, unchill filtered. So it was a 13-year, and it is Laphroaig. And that was just stellar.
And that's, you get into that, and when I first started into experimenting and going deeper into the scotches and that, I was very much a slave to age statements. So older was better. That was the one stuck in your mind. And in the last couple of years, I've really had my eyes opened. I've had 5-year-olds that I thought were absolutely, fantastic. And I've had 35-year-olds that go, yeah, so what? So yeah, the age statement is slipping away quite a bit. And now it's just a matter of what I enjoy.
Yeah, a lot of my favorite whiskeys are non-age statement or fairly young.
Yep.
I mean, most of the Octomores are 5 years, right? And they're great.
Yeah.
And you can't knock, if you're in an Isla, you can't knock an our Big Ten. It's unbelievable.
It's totally solid.
I have a 10-year-old Klein Leash, which is a signatory cask strength release, and it is stellar. And again, not that 10 years is young. That's a decent amount of time in wood. But again, like when I do have some stuff that's in the high 20s or even 30 or more, and that's why I like to try things blind first if I can. And so I wait till I have a few things. I used to do it fairly frequent, was have Ashley would pour me some drams. We had a game called Mommy Chooses, Daddy Loses. And she would come back. I'd go in the living room. I'd plug my ears because I know what certain corks sound like. And I would have her pour a selection of drams. And then I would have my notes there, and I would taste and smell and nose and try and put a guess on. But beyond guessing what it is, which is a really fun part of tasting stuff blind, for me, the real value in a blind tasting is not knowing that age statement, not knowing that cask type, not knowing that distillery. It's just knowing if you like it.
Yep.
And
removing the prejudice from the label makes it a whole different world.
Big time. Yeah. Big time. And it was it's something I really value. And I try to do that as much as we can, because while we all like to think that we're not going to let something give us any type of preconceived opinions, it does, like it's something that I don't think we can avoid, and it just kind of does happen in there when you're sitting here thinking, okay, this is going to be a 30-year-old whatever. You're pretty much set on it being good, and you're going to be like, oh yeah, this is good. But when it's blind, there's just nothing to base it on, and it's just whether you like it or not.
Yeah. And what? You should try this. This happened to me. I was sitting there and I was trying a few things with a friend of mine, and the bugger, I was sitting in front of him, and he had a scotch that wasn't as good as the one I was drinking at the moment. But as soon as I put that down, he pulls up a paper with a green spot on it, puts it back down, and I pick up the next one. I really liked it. It just took a circle with a green.
Yep, it's
bias is tricky.
It is.
Like, and even when I did the extremely loose and relaxed Talisker tasting in Toronto with a bunch of people, I did it blind. And about half of the people enjoyed Talisker Storm more than Talisker 10 and were surprised about that fact.
Yep, I remember that vividly. And that was actually really, really cool tasting, by the way. Like, that was really, really fun. And obviously awesome to get Talisker spoiled. But that was probably as loose as you say it was still structured enough.
It was pretty loose.
It was pretty loose because we're all pretty close, but
yeah.
You still did a great job in the way that we had them, the way you presented them as blind. That was actually really, really fun night. One of the coolest whiskey nights I've had in my journey. That was really fun. And it was interesting to taste them, and then you're wanting to guess what it is, but at the same time you don't want to make the mistake, which of course there is none, and no one's judging anybody.
It's all subjective.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh, Talisker Storm was Patrick from My Whiskey Den's first Pete. It's a solid.
Nice.
Good call.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it more than several other Taliskers, which is nice because it's the cheapest one I can get usually.
Yeah.
But you know what? Let's come back to it. You're talking about social events where you've come down, you've spent time, you've done tastings, you've done experimentation. This has been, and I'm, I've never been much of a drinker in my whole life. I've drank more in the last year than I have in the last 15 years. But this has been the most adventurous, camaraderie way of getting to know people. Look at all you folks online watching us tonight. we could walk up in the middle of the street, start talking, and we'd be friends instantly. It's the similarities we share with this that have made this a great adventure for most of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, big time. And like I said, that's such a, it's, I guess it's not really a byproduct, but when you meet up, like when I first met everyone, I'm thinking, okay, you know, I'm going to go in there. Like this one guy's a freaking sommelier. He's the demigod. I was nervous. I was pouring sweat.
Where is he? There he is.
So I show up.
I need to like find a way to post that Leslie Nope, like lower your expectations. Yeah. I gotta set that up.
And it was just awesome. We hit it off. We're very like-minded individuals. And the cool thing is that, and when I speak with older people, like when I was talking to my granddad before he passed this summer, he couldn't really believe the level of interest in Scotch and stuff from a younger generation, because for many years you wouldn't have. It was all mostly 50 plus for the entire bulk of people who were into Scotch, and it had that whole aura of just dignified and experienced, and a taste that you really have to acquire. And in many cases it is a taste you have to acquire, but you didn't see a bunch of the younger generations. Like Adam is like 20. How old's Adam? He's like 21.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, and he's had more, so he appreciates Scotch more than I think I ever could, and I love Scotch.
He certainly has a much better palate than I do.
Yeah. But it's just a great it's a great thing, and I think we have and owe a lot obviously to the Whiskey Tribe, because without Whiskey Tribe I never would have met you guys.
You know,
and the whole attitude that Dan and Rex have kind of started out, and the no snobbery and just having fun has been just a great thing, and it perpetuates when people like us meet and get together, and you know, we've created our own tight-knit group of whiskey nerds, and we have fun.
The Rex and Daniel, they're full of shenanigans, everything else, and they are doing a promotional and supporting themselves. But you know what? They're not. To me, they're not the ambassadors of whiskey. They are the ambassadors of new friendships.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Whiskey is just the framework they are using to build up friendships and community and everything else. It's just a tool that happens to be the framework they're using, but it's really not the biggest part. It's the connections and the people, and you know, whiskey just helps some of us be more social than we would otherwise.
Fantastic. Well,
Big
gentlemen,
time.
I have got 5% left on this poor little phone. It has been an absolute honor being on with you tonight.
Yeah, it was great.
It's been great having you. Come back anytime.
Hey, just to say, could join us. I'll be there.
Will do.
Expect it, buddy, because
trust me, that's going to happen.
That's how we roll.
That's
Cheers, Mark.
definitely happening. Cheers.
Guys.
Cheers.
See y'all.
All right, we have been going for almost an hour and a half, so that might be a good
good cutoff point.
A good cutoff point, yeah.
Wow. So just quickly, I just poured, and my pronunciation might be incorrect. Scarabus.
Sure.
It's an Isla. It is an Isla blend. I believe it is a Douglas Lang.
Okay.
Oh, Dave, are you still here, buddy? Save me with some information. Ross Fudd, you guys should do a live from his opening. You better believe there will be a lot of.
That's happening. I'll make that work. I'll figure out a way to get up there. We could do that.
Yeah, that will be something that is happening for sure. So we'll make sure to let everybody know ahead of time when that's going down, so you can check it out, because it will certainly be some good content. So I am so horrible at finding information. Okay, Hunter Lang. It is Hunter Lang. And it's just a really, I've only just had this one little sip here, but on the nose, it's very sweet Kalila, that gentle Kalila, and then on the palate, it's almost Laphroaig-y.
Yeah, I'll kidnap Vito. Russ Fudd in the chat is saying, don't forget to drag Vito along. I don't know what Vito's going to be up to, but if he's busy, too bad. He's getting kidnapped. It's going to happen.
Dave, okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he still has that GPS that I put on him in Austin, so I could find him and kidnap him. It's fine.
Yeah, plus he doesn't know about that one that we put in his bloodstream yet, so...
Sure.
I mean...
Yeah, it's like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He has like 6 or 7 GPSs in him. Everybody keeps feeding Vito GPSs.
Yeah, Vito's extreme love of yogurt was his downfall.
Sure.
Yeah.
I poured just a little bit of Killoman wine, red wine cask finish, just to finish off the day, and it's magical.
They're just fantastic. I can't wait until they really have some stuff, although it's probably going to be super rare. Pardon me. But once they really get some age going on there, I think that they might be making bigger steps than they already are, which is, obviously with all the hype in the tribe and whatnot, is worth it, justified.
Oh yeah,
because
Mike Wasak in the chat is saying we should do a surprise live from Vito's place or maybe his work, which would be hilarious.
We should
just show up while he's working. We just start live streaming.
Yeah, he just started a new job not long ago too, so that'd be just a great way for
not awkward at all. He would love that, I'm sure. He's not nearly stressed enough.
Wearing bald caps, yeah, we should put disguises on.
I've got my Vito bald cap around here somewhere, I'm sure.
Oh my god, I'll put a wig on and like one of those dollar store glasses and fake nose and mustaches on.
Sure.
My name is Steve A, and I approve of this plan.
As long as Steve A approves, then I'm sure it's fine. Nothing could possibly go wrong there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Oh,
yeah. People think that his work would be a good idea. I guess Patrick from My Whiskey Den agrees. Yeah, everything. That seems like a plan that might happen at some point. Once Vito is a little more settled in and a little less stressed with everything going on in life, maybe we could work something out.
Yeah, it's a whole bit renovations and new job. It's just a whole. It's stressful, but he will be back, everybody, and he does miss all of your wonderful comments, and he'll be back, and it will be glorious.
Sure it will be. And with that, I suppose we should cut things off and call it a night for the week.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Thank you, Mark and Ed, for your beautiful faces making an appearance and taking a
Not at all jealous of Ed's current tasting of the Laphroaig 25.
Yeah, that's a shame that he had to be drinking that tonight.
Moderate has a lot of gray area. Very true. All right. Thanks for everybody for stopping by.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate. We love your support. We love chatting with you. It's my favorite night of the week.
Ditto. Cheers.
Cheers. Have a good night, guys.